You undertook some research in the Eastern Caribbean. It was the UNICEF survey into child sexual abuse. That's now led on to another project. But where did it all start from?
Actually, this started quite some time ago, because even though we now have the beginnings of a new project, back in 2009, when we reported on the study, this was a study of 6 countries in the Caribbean, and we reported on the scale of the problem and its consequences and the effects for children and for families. So back in 2009 is some going back some time, and now we're talking about a new kind of project, a new kind of initiative. This new project has its beginnings back in that early research. What happened in 2009 is that we reported to UNICEF, who commissioned the study. We then subsequently got funding from the Department for International Development, who saw this as a groundbreaking study and wanted it to be disseminated widely. So they funded a dissemination program that meant we engaged with the media, we went back to every country that we'd conducted the research in, we shared our findings with parents, with organisations, with professionals, with politicians. We had audiences with complete governments, their whole cabinets. So we did a really extensive job of sharing the findings. After that, we got further funding, and this was from an organisation called the Oak Foundation, which is a Swiss-based charity, and they said that they were particularly impressed with our very robust methodology, and they were interested in whether we could explore, could some of our findings now be turned into interventions that could make a difference. So we then did a third piece of work, which was the feasibility study. So what you see is a whole development. We start with the research, we disseminate the research. Somebody picks that research up and says, this means something, what can we now do? And we're now moving into a third stage of our activities, or probably you could say a fourth stage, where we're looking at developing a project, a very complex project with many different parts, rolling it out in a particular country in the Caribbean, then building in some really robust research into those interventions to see what works, for what children, with what benefits, for whom, and then making sure that all of that research gets rolled out, not just for the Caribbean, because actually we're talking about building child protection systems from the ground up, involving communities, involving families, not just about professionals, which is a very different approach to child protection. It's about not just responding after a child's been abused, it's about preventing abuse before it happens. It takes a completely different approach to the problem. It's the public health approach, where we try to target everybody, to get everybody involved in protecting children. So there are messages not just for the Caribbean, there'll be messages for us in the UK, for other Western countries. So this is a really, really important piece of work that we're now working on the infrastructure to get it launched.
The University of Huddersfield, inspiring tomorrow's professionals.